Hi everyone. Today I'm doing something a little different. One of my viewers asked if I could talk about some very specific words. And those words are assumption, intention, indicator, independence, and liberation. And put them all together into one video. And straight away I thought, well, that's an interesting challenge because these words, they're not just powerful concepts on their own, they actually work together quite beautifully. They form like something of a pathway, a kind of unfolding journey when it comes to manifesting a life you love. So that's what we're going to dive into today. So let's start with the heart of this. Assumption and intention. And these two words, they're like two sides of the same coin. Assumptions are the default settings that are running in the background of your inner world. They're the things you just know to be true about life, even if you've never actually sat down and chosen them. And intention is your power switch. So let's take them one at a time and then bring them together. An intention is something you consciously choose. It's you setting the outcome. It's you saying, this is where I'm heading. This is what I want. This is who I choose to be. And the energy behind that doesn't have to be forceful or heavy. In fact, the most powerful intentions usually aren't. They're soft. They're clear. They come from a place of quiet knowing, not a desperate needing. It's like saying, this is the direction I'm choosing to go in. No begging, no chasing, no justifying. Just a simple, grounded decision, an energetic signal that says, this is where I'm going. Now, assumption is what's sitting underneath. It's not always loud or conscious. It's the silent narrator of your life. It's the story you're telling yourself about what's possible, what's true, what always happens, and what never happens. And here's the thing. Your assumptions are what's driving everything. You might say you want one thing, but if you're assuming the opposite underneath the surface, that's what will get projected out as fact. So here's where the magic happens. When you intend something and you assume that this outcome is already laid out for you and that you're now on a path that is making this outcome unfold, that's when things really start to move. That's when you start creating from a whole new place. It's the combination of those two energies, conscious choice and deep knowing, that activates your creative power in a really profound way. For example, let's say your intention is to have a fulfilling, joyful, loving relationship. That's a beautiful intention. But now let's look at the assumptions running underneath that. Is it something like people always leave, or relationships never last? Or love is hard to find? If that's what's running, then that deeper layer is going to shape your reality, not your intention. So what we want to do is start gently aligning our assumptions with our intentions. That's what manifesting is all about. So the work becomes, let me align my assumption with my intention. Let me assume that I get to have the loving relationship that I want. That the right person has already been lined up for me, that the whole story is already in place, and that now all I have to do is enjoy watching that story unfold. You don't have to force yourself to believe that you have it already or that it's all going to happen right this second. You just start to open the door. You say, maybe this could be true for me. Maybe this beautiful love story really is beginning to unfold. And by doing that, you will cause this reality to start playing out and materializing into fact. Now let's move to the next word, indicator. This one is so important and so misunderstood. Indicators are the reflections you're getting based on the meaning you're giving to things on the outside because of what's going on the inside. It's life showing you what you're currently assuming to be true. They're not there to be taken as a judgment, as a sign that you're doing something wrong, but as helpful feedback showing you where you need to refine and adjust so that you can project out a reality that is more to your liking. It's your interpretation of the outer world mirroring what's going on internally. So if something shows up in your reality that doesn't feel good, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means, hey, this is what's playing in the background right now. Just see it as an indicator of what you're currently assuming. It's just showing you what you're holding as true, what you're buying into. For example, if you just got ghosted after a date, let's say, notice what meaning you're giving it. The indicator might be showing you an assumption like, this is never going to work, nobody's interested in me. And it's important to note that the indicator isn't the fact that the seemingly unwanted event happened. The indicator isn't the fact that you got ghosted. The indicator is the fact that you're taking this to mean that you don't get to have what you want. That is what needs to change, not the event itself. And when you realize this, it's very empowering. Because all of a sudden, you're no longer dependent on what anyone else does. You could have 100 people ghost you. And if you still bring yourself back to the knowing that this is all leading to your desired outcome somehow, then that's what will happen. It's only if you let yourself fall into being driven by the events themselves and taking them at face value that you will then continue to project out the unwanted reality. So the indicator is actually a gift, because once you see the assumption, you can shift it. The fact that you're feeling bad after being ghosted is showing you that there's an underlying assumption that is unwanted. It's showing you that there's an assumption that isn't serving you. It's showing you that there's a setting that needs to be changed somewhere. So indicators are just pointing you back home to your inner state, to what you're believing, to what you're assuming, whether consciously or not. They're just showing you what you're resonating with right now. And once you see that, you can change it. So in order to understand what's going on and what is causing this seemingly unwanted reflection, you can ask yourself, is this experience pointing me back to an assumption I didn't know I was carrying? And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to fix or fight the indicator. You just have to shift the assumption. That's where your power is. Now, let's bring in another word, independence. A lot of people think of independence as doing it all on your own. But true independence isn't about isolating yourself. It's about reclaiming your inner authority. It's when you stop outsourcing your power to the world around you. When you stop saying, I can only feel good if this person texts me, or I'll only be able to live comfortably once I have this job or this money or this house. It's about saying, I get to decide who I'm going to be and how I'm going to spend my time and what my life is going to look like. You become energetically independent when you stop letting the world around you dictate what's possible. You start choosing what to assume based on where you want to take things and how you want things to be, not on appearances or on what other people have experienced. So independence here doesn't mean I don't need anyone. It means I'm free to choose how to shape the world and how to shape my life, regardless of what the current facts are and regardless of what anyone else is doing. It's knowing I am the one determining my experience. I am the one directing the show. I am the one in charge here. And here's the most beautiful thing. This kind of independence doesn't separate you from people. It actually draws the right people towards you. Because you're no longer needy or desperate or clinging. You're relaxed. You're not in competition with anyone. You're simply radiating from your own truth. You don't have to push people away to be independent. You just stop relying on them to determine your reality. And the more independent you become in choosing where to take things, the more beautifully interdependent your relationships become. Not from need, but from mutual choice, from abundance, from freedom. And that leads us beautifully to our final word, liberation. Liberation is the natural result of all of this. When you become aware of your assumptions, when you consciously intend a new path, when you read the indicators of your life with compassion and clarity, and when you stand in your independent power to choose what's true for you, you experience liberation. You're no longer a prisoner of your past beliefs. You're no longer waiting for the world to give you permission to feel good or be who you really are. You're free. Not in a woohoo, everything's perfect all the time kind of way, but in a deep, grounded, peaceful way. The kind of freedom where you know, I am the one creating this. And if I created what's here now, I can create something else anytime I choose. So this is what happens when you put it all together. When you start setting your intentions to what you want them to be, begin gently shifting your assumptions into alignment with those intentions, use your reflected reality as a helpful mirror instead of a threat, and stand in your independent authority to choose how to respond. What you experience is liberation. Not the kind of freedom that depends on everything being perfect, but the kind of freedom that comes from knowing I'm not a victim of my surroundings. I'm not stuck in old stories. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm free to choose now and now and now. You know you can change direction. You know the future isn't bound to the past. You know that the source that is creating all of this is limitless, that it loves you unconditionally, and that it's always on your side. And that is real freedom. And it doesn't mean life stops having ups and downs. It just means you move through it all with a deeper wisdom, a more stable inner core. And you see it all as a wonderful adventure instead of feeling like a victim that gets thrown around all over the place depending on what shows up. So, just to recap, intention is your conscious choice. It's you setting the direction. It's your yes to what you want. Assumption is the underlying belief that shapes your world. It's the inner narrative that determines how that intention plays out. Indicators show you what you're currently assuming. They're your feedback system, showing you what you're believing beneath the surface. Independence is reclaiming the authority to choose what to believe moment by moment. It's bringing the power to choose what's true back to yourself, where it belongs. And liberation is the freedom that comes when you live from that truth. It's the experience of walking through life not as a puppet of the outside world, but as a powerful creator who gets to make everything out there into whatever you want it to be. So, if you take one thing from today's video, let it be this. You are allowed to intend what you want. You are allowed to gently shift your assumptions without guilt or shame. You are allowed to use your current reality as a guide, not a judge. You are allowed to take your power back, not in a loud, angry way, but in a grounded, loving, confident way. And you are allowed to live free. Not because you earned it, but because it's your nature. And when you get all this and you start to live life from this knowing, life just becomes beautiful and magical and more amazing than you could ever imagine. So, a big thank you to the lovely viewer who asked this question and inspired this video. And to all of you watching, I hope all of you feel a little more empowered, a little more clear, and a little more liberated after exploring these words with me. And if it did, I'd love to know. Leave me a comment and share your biggest takeaway. I love reading your comments. They always deepen the conversation for everyone. Okay, that is it from me for today. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come and join the family. We're talking about the real stuff here. No fluff, just the beautiful, messy, magical truth of what it means to be human and divine at the same time, and how to navigate this physical world with this awareness. So remember, set your intentions to what you want them to be bold with your assumptions, and let freedom be the natural state that you live from. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.